You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Oh, you didn't know? Yes, it is.
Welcome everybody to the Hot Tag by the official Wrestling Museum. We are your host Angel, and this is the Hall of Famer from the official Wrestling Museum.
Low life.
That's right. I kind of said that a little around the world that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I did.
Well,
It's
you know
weird.
what? I was waiting for the hot tag.
You were, but you know what? We've never teamed before, so it
Right.
kind of threw me off. I was
no,
like, oh, well,
we did.
again-
We did the Camp Chaos thing.
Oh,
so-
we did, yeah,
Right.
we did. But that was more like
Six-man tag.
six-man
You were
tags
thrown
and stuff,
into.
and- yeah.
You were thrown into the match with me and my other partner. But
Yeah, it worked, it worked. So this show here is for you guys. Why? Because you guys have sent us questions for us to answer today. And we're thankful because if not, we would have been sitting here doing absolutely nothing right now because, well, that's what we would have been doing. So let's jump right into it. Make sure you guys send all your questions in because we need your help, okay? And let's see what we got. Let's go downtown, around the corner. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Why is Today Wrestling put someone through the announce table is not a DQ?
I mean, I guess that's a good answer. I mean, good question because it does. It's not even just that. It's like a table itself a lot. Like, you know, yeah, when a guy gets hit with a chair, it'll be disqualified. But yet when they go through a table, it's never a disqualification.
Yeah,
You know?
very rarely it is and stuff. I never understood the announce tables.
I mean, I guess I don't understand why they go through every night. You know, I mean, I think it happens way too. I mean, back in the day, it was a lot worse. The Spanish announce table.
Of course, Spanish announce
But
table.
yeah, I mean, for a fan to come in and ask a question about logic, I like that because it shows that the fans are
Yeah,
smart.
absolutely.
I guess there's really no good. I guess the best answer is just storyline reasons. Hey, like, it's when they want it to be a DQ, it will be. When they don't, it won't be. And that's really the only answer you can give. You know.
It is true. I remember back in the day, you going into the steel steps, it was a DQ. Or the ring pole was a DQ. Now
Yeah.
it's just like a part of every
I mean,
match.
WCW used to have over the top rope as a DQ.
Yep.
Yeah. The announce table again. It's just, hey, this week it might be a DQ if it calls for it in the match. Next week, probably not. You know,
Yeah.
it's just no.
No rhyme or reason.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Dig in there. Hopefully I can read it. The guy that writes these usually doesn't write that good. Okay. How big would the Ravens flock have been if there was no NWO?
That's an interesting question. Now, I don't know if you guys see his shirt. This is an NWO shirt. Yeah. Okay.
The original NWO logo.
Yeah. It only ran for like a week or two.
Yeah, before they came up with the real one.
Yep.
But so I am a NWO super fan. But so the flock. Now I think that the flock, they were more over than people remember. They were
Yeah.
super over.
They were.
I think definitely the NWO trumped everything. But I think that the flock, I don't know if they had to be more over than what they were. I think Raven was super over. I do think that the politics and stuff kept Raven from reaching the top of the card.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, he was the U.S. champ for a while. I think the flock was super over. I mean, not every guy, but look at the guys who came out of it. Like Kidman came out a big star.
Yep.
Saturn came out as a star. Raven, obviously. They did something with Scotty Riggs in the flock that he kind of, after the American Males, was kind of dead
Yeah.
to rights. and they did the thing with the eye. The other guys were all kind of. They had Van Hammer, who was kind of a nothing at the time, and at least gave him something. So
Right.
then there were a couple other guys like Sick Boy and Reese that were thrown in there. I think Sick Boy they wanted to do more with, but he just wasn't a name, and they
Yeah.
didn't want to build him up. But I think the Flock was what it was, and didn't really have to be more over.
Yeah, I personally think if you're not comparing apples and oranges to this one because NWO it literally became its own company within the company. You know what I mean? It had a full roster for their members.
And they had to split it into
Yeah,
two groups.
They did. So I think
Even three,
You know,
'cause-
if you're with LWO and then
Well, I was going to say you had NWO, then you had the Wolfpack, then they kind of joined together, and then you had that NWO Black and White that was like Vincent
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
Stevie.
yeah,
Ray.
yeah.
So it kind of made a third, and then you had NWO Japan too.
I was just gonna say that,
which
yeah.
I loved. Buddha, Tensai.
So I think if you're
Sono.
coming
Oh,
down just
that was
if
my
you're
favorite.
just coming down to groups, I think the Flock was probably the most over group at that time, minus the Horsemen, because the Horsemen always had their own
Right.
class. But I think the Flock was exactly where they were, and like you said, they weren't going to give Raven
Right.
a big enough push.
I think the Flock did good for those guys that really might not have done anything else.
Yeah.
You know.
I think so too.
So yeah, I think the Flock was more over than people will remember.
Or why don't you even give them credit?
Yeah, Hey, that too.
All right. What 5 females wrestlers should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Now is this going by 5 that aren't in it?
I would, yeah.
All right, so with the Hall of Fame, I've always said it's a little tricky for me at this point because there's so many people in it, and I don't really remember who's in and who's not. So some of these people I say might already be in. Okay, so for the first one, I know it says wrestlers, but there's a female that I think should be in it. That should be. You're talking about the celebrity wing. I know she's not a wrestler, but I don't care because Cyndi Lauper, to me, I don't know if she's in it. I don't believe she is.
No, I think she did go in.
Okay, I'm
In
going
the
to go by.
celebrity wing.
All right, so we're going to go by what we think.
Yes, what we think.
You watching at home, you got to also understand they've now been doing this Hall of Fame now for 30 years or so. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 people inducted a year.
Then they have those
Cyndi
legacy
Lauper
ones.
to me is one. Now, again, some of these people we know might never be inducted for political reasons and stuff.
Yep.
I think Sable should be in. Miss Elizabeth,
Yep.
I know she should be in. Bull Nakano's going in this year, which I think is
Yeah.
great. But those 3, Cyndi Lauper, like I said.
I would think Sable absolutely should be in it. I think Miss Elizabeth should definitely be in it. I know
Definitely.
she wasn't so much of,
But
a
she was-
wrestler, but she
yeah.
definitely deserves to be in it. I think China needs to go in by herself.
Okay.
I hate when they
I would
put
agree with
people
that,
in
yeah.
that are not like, oh yeah, we're gonna put you in, but we're gonna put you in a group. No, like I find it's disrespect.
Yeah, I totally agree
I
with the
think-
3 of them.
With not just a cheap plug for the Museum's Hall of Fame, but Nancy Benoit, I think would be a really good name. I know it'll be controversy, but they
Yeah.
could put her in as woman. But she really
She would be
built
someone
up
that deserves to.
a lot with WCW and with the ECW,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't have gone and bought those companies without her build-up.
Yeah, I don't think she will just because of the controversy, but
Right.
she's definitely a deserving person. What do you think about? I know we talked about her a little with earlier when we were looking at trading cards. I was never a big fan of her, but what do you think about her, Missy Hyatt? I know she didn't do anything in WWF except a couple unaired segments.
I can see them putting her in just because of her name. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of females that has played a big role in the business. I don't think they put as many females in as they should. I really wish they would stop putting in referees. I think that would be fantastic. I know they put Tim White in, but
Yeah.
he wasn't even in. He was in the Warrior Award, I believe. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't even for him.
So I think
I think we kinda
I know
nailed-
we gave 4. I gave the 5th of
Yep.
Cyndi Lauper. I think with the newer girls, it's harder for me because I think I've said in the past too. I think that the requirements for a woman to be in the not sort changing them. I'm just saying
Right.
the requirements for a woman has in my mind changes. It's like, okay, you had the stars of the 80s and the couple in the 90s. For me, the way a woman gets in now might be, okay, if they had a good 2 or 3 year run, like a
Yep.
you know, like who went in recently? Like, I mean, Michelle McCool. I can't even.
No, well,
there's-
that's
and there's
another
been
one.
so
Michelle
many.
McCool
Yeah.
hasn't gone in. She would be a great one.
Okay, she hasn't even gone in?
No, she would be another great
Yeah,
one to
why
be
not?
added
I could
in.
take his
And
wife, I
Layla,
mean.
she's another great one. And not to get a cheap hit plug-in, but check out Off the Ropes this week because we announced all the new 14 names. 14 names that just went in this past WrestleMania weekend to our class of 2024.
I was
our
going to
Hall of
say,
Fame.
you know, I don't think she's in the WWE Hall of Fame, but when I was talking about a girl that had a good 2 or 3 year run, Hall of Famer, Museum Hall of Famer, Victoria Crawford, Alicia Fox. you know?
Alicia Fox, yeah.
All right. Should all titles in WWE be defended within 30 days? So that's an old rule that they did have.
I kind of like it.
I mean,
I'm old school, and
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It gives the relevance to it. You know, keeping this count, like, you know, somebody having the title for 150 days. You know what I mean?
Roman, who's had it for
100,000. You know what I mean?
1,300 days, has
And it's-
defended it 7 times.
Yeah, like that to me is not impressive. You know what I
I
mean?
think it's hard in our minds. It's like, wait, he's been the champion this long and he's defended it 3 times this year. I think in our mind we're set in that it's like it should be. I think money business wise, it should be. If you, which they're kind of trying to take it into a more sport atmosphere.
Yeah.
I understand now. It's like, okay, this guy's going to defend it once every 2 or 3 months. I understand that point. I don't like it. I do think the 30-day thing, it just made sense, you know.
Even if they didn't do it on TV and they just did it at a live event.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
think
mean?
that-
one live event,
Yeah.
randomly the champion's
you know,
going to be
yeah.
there. you
And they've
know?
always tried to do things like maybe do a little quick title change at a live event and the guy wins it back in a week. Maybe if you had like a Roman Reigns and, Roman Reigns was at Los Angeles next week defending his title, and that's the only title defense he's giving for the next 2 months, that might draw some
Yeah.
house show
Because
numbers, you know?
sometimes like that
I
house shows
I
are not
think though,
selling out.
yes. I think it should be every 30 months. Because, Hogan wasn't on TV every week, but you knew
But
he
he
was
was always-
defending his
yeah.
belt on either Saturday Night's Main Event for that month or the pay-per-view. you
Yeah.
know?
Do you think the prices for action figures are too high?
Well, me being me, I'm going to say yes no matter what because I'm cheap. So, just a perfect story. I was at the store the other day. I don't know if we don't even need to say which one of the big stores. And I wanted to get myself, well, actually, I had to get batteries for Xbox control. But I'm like, I can't go into a store without going to the toy section. My son knows it too. So he knows we're going to the toy section.
Yep.
It's just-
I'm in the
it's gonna
same
happen.
boat too. Yep.
And, I went there and they had a couple, which we had the Masters of the Universe
Yep.
wave there. Like I said, I collect the Masters of the Universe. Well, they're also doing, I talked about the crossovers and stuff. They're also doing a crossover with the Ninja Turtles, which is really cool. So I saw one that was on sale. I pick up a Star Wars figure that's on sale. My son, of course, is really just only looking at the wrestling figures, which they only had 3 on the shelf.
See, he's
they only
smart.
had 3
He's
on the
smart.
shelf. He wanted the Elite John Cena. And I'm like, buddy, no. It was like $23.
Yeah.
Now, the basic ones are about $8.
No,
I
they're even up there now. They're
is-
like $11.99 now.
See, so it's hard for me because I'm like, a figure should be like $8 for a figure. I get now the elites and stuff, and then they have even more of the deluxes, which are like $30.
Mm-hmm.
And I also understand the companies that are doing the short runs that they're not mass producing them and it's costing them more. And that's more of a collector base that's doing
Yep.
that. So that's understandable if you're going to pay that.
Right.
But if I go to Walmart or Target or whatever, and it's funny because I wouldn't say the names earlier, but now I'm just
Now
throwing
we're
it
just
out
gonna
there.
give you a dime.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say what store I was at.
Yeah.
Now I'm just saying if you go to a Walmart and Target, because that's really 2 of the only places to go.
Yep.
You go in there and you see a figure for like $22. It's like, man, my son really wants this, but. Now he's at the point where he doesn't want the basic series. He wants the ones with the bellies that move.
Yes.
Well, it's like, buddy, you can get 3 basic figures for
the
that.
same
I don't
price,
care. I
yeah.
want the belly that moves.
I think it's way too much. I think, especially these new elites, the figure itself, I bought my son Jey Uso.
Yeah.
And it's so light compared to the elites from last year.
Yeah.
There's so much more boxed to it, which to me, it's not that bad of a thing because I like getting the figure signed. But they're so light, it's so cheaply done. And it's like, I understand everything's going up in the world, but at some point something's got to stop with all this inflation, because these are, forget us, at our age want to collect. The kids want to have these, action figures and toys and whatever to just enjoy. You know what I mean? If you're a grandparent, you want to go out and get your kids something, your grandkids something, you're like, oh my God, like I can't afford that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
My son's birthday is coming up in a month, and he wants just Elites, and I'm like, okay. And I'm in my head going, well, that's what I'm going to tell people, because then I don't have to buy them.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm almost afraid to tell people, like, look, he only wants Elites, because I know me. If I'm going to get a kid a birthday present, I'm not going to be like, let me spend $30 on him. So I'm afraid to tell people, look, he only wants Elites, because I'm feeling like they're not going to want to get them. So I'm more leaning towards also.
I was with that with my son too. Christmas and stuff, and the family were like, oh, what do you want? What does he want? And I'm like, oh, he wants WWE figures, but he wants the Elite ones because the stomach moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he'd be happy with a basic, but he don't play with them. He'll open them up, throw them, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the prices are getting up there. I think they're only going to continue to go higher.
I will say with the
there's no
Elites,
reason.
though, it's like the price is up there, but you got the caveat of they throw in like so many extra hands, accessories, maybe a couple extra heads. So at least, they do cost more, and there is more. There does have to be, I think, a price jump as far as the basics and the Elites. I just wish it wasn't so much.
I don't think it needs to be by $10.
Right,
It could be by $5.
Right. But they do, I will say, at least they do offer like the hands and the heads and stuff like that. So, but I'm always going to say everything's just too expensive.
Even if it's free, it's
that's
too
the low
expensive.
life in me. All right. What are some of your favorite gimmick matches?
Oh, man. For me, I think I always loved the blue cage match.
Yeah, I was going to say the steel cage
The other day, I was driving back from a show. Well, I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger seat. And I was just going through, Facebook, and they had the videos pop up. So they're like, oh, the worst matches ever in WWE history, and this match was in it. And I'm like, why? It was the blindfold match with Jake the Snake and Rick Martel. I absolutely loved that. And they're like, oh, they gave it away because they bumped. No, just the psychology in that match, the way it was. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been some blindfold matches out there that are ridiculous. Like, you're disrespecting the business by going out there. That match was unbelievable. I think that was
so
awesome.
Basic, which is what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake has gone on record and said, like, Rick Martel was like super scared about it, and he was like, dude, this is going to be the easiest money we ever make. And I know they did a test run of it on a house show, but yeah, that match is. I think the thing is, like, with younger kids, they'll see that match and go, this match is so boring. It's because, again, they weren't there at the time of the story leading into the match with Jake getting blinded. And then it's like, they don't understand that less is more, and also that, oh, this guy in this blindfold match, this guy jumped off the top rope. Well, how would he know he's there? It's the blindfold match, that blindfold match. So some of the gimmick matches might be horrible, but there's certain ones. Like you said, the cage match. Cage match is so way overdone now.
Yeah.
Hell in the Cell, when it first started, was cool, but now Elimination Chamber 2, awesome when it came out, but every single time someone's going to get out or someone's getting in. It's a cage match. The Hell in the Cell, they're getting out. It was something when Kane did it, or, when it fits the story, but when it's done just to do it, the Elimination Chamber match. I mean, if you want to count the Royal Rumble as a gimmick match, that's one. Gimmick matches have changed over the years. Like Lumberjack match used to be really cool because you would see everyone out there.
I used to really like the Lumberjack matches.
The dog collar match is a thing of the. I was surprised a few weeks ago on Raw they did the bull rope match with Shinsuke and Cody. And Cody, he used the bell part. Like Cody is, with Cody, you're gonna get tradition being respected.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's so many, like the strap match where they got to hit the corners. That's been done over the years, and it's just been a horrible one.
Yeah.
So I think.
And I used to like it though. I like the concept of that because you really had to fight together, start over.
If done right, yeah.
Exactly. That's the problem. There's a lot of people that don't know how to do it right.
Yeah. So I think First Blood is something that kind of has phased out.
Yeah.
I think hardcore match and last man standing match, those have been played out over the years.
You know what I always want, and I think this would be up your alley. I think I had this conversation with you years ago too. I always wanted to do a table match and get an action figure table and put it behind somebody's foot and let them step through the table. I always wanted to do that spot. Or do a cage match and lock the guy up in the ropes, tie him up in the ropes, and just walk right out the door.
I have done a cane match, and the object was supposed to be Singapore canes.
Yeah.
And this was at Club Stars.
For
Primal.
Johnston, Rhode Island.
And I came out. They had some props there, and I came out with a big, gigantic candy cane.
Yes.
And they were like, "What are you doing? It's a cane match." I will say, speaking of gimmick matches, I think Low Life is going to be having a food fight, a welfare food fight match in the near future. You know? So.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody was saying that. I'm like, please let me be booked on that show. Because I just want to be able to watch it. You know what I mean?
I think
I love gimmick matches. I love stuff like that.
On the close for the gimmick matches, I think gimmick matches were done really bad when Vince Russo had the WCW book. He did so many on a pole matches that it became such a joke. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, what would you rather get hit with, a steel chair or a cookie sheet?
Well, I mean, what would I rather be hit with? If I'm getting hit, I want to be hit with the cookie sheet because it doesn't hurt. But if I want the things to be realistic, I'd rather get hit with the chair. The cookie sheet, I know it makes a sound.
There's some heavy cookie sheets, but yeah.
Yeah, if I'm getting hit with it, cookie sheet all day.
Yeah.
But for the sake of a match, you know, the cookie sheet, it's I get it. It makes the sound.
Yep.
Everyone was using it. But in a way, with logistic reasons, unless you're bringing it like a New Jack is bringing in the weapons to the ring.
Yep.
What are you're pulling a cookie sheet out from under the ring? Why was it there?
You know? Who's baking under there?
Yeah.
And it's as much as we should say, don't try that at home. I love going into steel chairs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
as much as it hurts, it's comfortable.
As you were saying, don't try this at home. If the kids out there are doing these matches at home, maybe if they're gonna do these hardcore matches because they see them on TV, I shouldn't say do this. But if you're going to use a
this is going to give us a longer meeting before the next one.
Please don't use anything hard. Use those tin folding pans that don't hurt,
at like Ocean State or something.
Yeah, the ones that cost $1.
Just know once it's
don't
cracked
hurt
a couple of times, you can still get cut.
He thinks I'm going to say crack yourself. Don't hurt yourself is what I'm saying.
I know. We're going to have a long meeting before the next time. I know. I know.
What was a better figure line, Stomp or the Signature Series?
Oh.
All right, so you're going to have to tell me what the Signature Series was.
So the Signature Series from WWE was an action figure, and typically on their leg, it had their autograph on it. Oh. Now, it wasn't a real autograph. Right. It was, painted on.
It would just be the regular figure with an autograph.
Sometimes it would be on their vest. For me, I love the Stomp line.
Yeah.
I didn't like that they were hard figures and you couldn't really move them sometimes. I thought it was cool. I didn't understand why they did, the line, but it was cool. I loved the Signature Series. For getting autographs on boxes, that was like my go-to one.
So for me, I don't have any real connection with either line. I don't really care. Now I get what the Signature Series was. For me, if I was playing with them, I would be like, that would aggravate me to have their signature on their leg. I'm gonna say I didn't collect either line. Sorry, I didn't collect either line, but I'm gonna say Stomp would be the cooler idea, and also I'm going with Stomp because that's where Brian Pillman was, and that's the only place you could get Pillman at the time.
That was the first one. And
I think that's what it's most known for, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the first time you can get Pillman, and his only other figure was a part of the Slammers.
Yeah,
that came out. I think Series 2 of them.
Until they came out with the classics and stuff, but at that time that was it for Pillman. Yeah.
So what company is better, AEW or WCW?
Well, WCW's out of business right now. So you know what? In all honesty, when I watch AEW, I see so many characteristics of WCW.
Fully agree.
In the way they film, like WWF has more. When you're watching it, AEW has more of a live sport feel as to it. Like they don't have the characters that WWE has. WCW also had realism is the word I was going for.
Yep.
I think AEW has more realism in their people as far as okay, they don't have a clown, they don't have a dentist, stuff like that. I think that also storyline wise, WCW didn't. They would have some storylines, but I feel like a lot of matches were just made for that week.
Yeah,
I see a lot.
Week show.
As far as which one's better, you know what? People can knock all these companies, whatever. I also have my own issues with like AEW and stuff. But you know what? It's there for my enjoyment. If I don't
Right.
like it, I don't like it, whatever.
Yeah, I see them very much the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They book for the night, not for next week.
Right.
It's really, again, this is like that apples and oranges. Like, you can't really compare because WCW wasn't just around for the time they were on Monday Night Raw,
Right.
Nitro, and Thunder. They were around
Yeah.
since the 80s.
We
so
just
that
talked
company.
about, we just talked
Yeah.
about in the Figures R Us show, the trading cards in '91, very, very poor time. So
Yeah.
you know, AEW is what it is. It's
Yep.
it's different than WWE. You know, a lot of people talk about how they have the less crowds and stuff. I really
Right.
don't care about that stuff.
The only thing I will say, well, WCW wasn't drawing great either.
Not
you know what I
until-
mean?
yeah,
They
right.
docked out the arenas. I think the only thing I would say with that, you know, as you pick in the next question is, the owners of the companies were billionaires, both of them.
Right.
One seems like he just wants to have fun with it, and that's AEW.
Yeah, the other
Where
one-
The other one was a business. So
Kind of. Well, with Ted Turner, it was more. It wasn't necessarily him. I mean, he wanted the guys to be like, okay, do your thing. It was the people of the corporation under him that treated it like just the business.
Yeah.
I think Turner would have been more like a Tony Khan. I mean, not in the booking sense. Hey guys, have fun with it.
True,
Khan,
maybe, yeah.
Khan is like, hey, I like this guy. I like this guy. Let me throw these two matches together. You know.
let's try to get one more question in. You got that?
Who? Okay, you're gonna have to read this one.
Who needs or needed a manager but never had one?
Oh wow, there's a lot.
Jeez. That was not the question to pick while we're wrapping up our
Right.
time.
Do you want to put that one back in?
You know what? We are. So
Let's put that one
We're
back
going
in
to
and-
put this one back in because
Yeah,
this is such a great question.
Yeah.
And thank you for sending, but this is something that we need time to talk
Right,
about.
right.
So it
All
is
right.
dropping in.
Were
First
you
time I ever did
okay?
that.
This one. Were you a fan of Hugh Morris? Hugh Morris's gear?
Yes, in WCW.
In
I actually loved his gear.
Yeah, with
I
the
think it
question
was-
marks?
Yep, I think it was absolutely amazing.
It was different. It fit him. I mean, he was called the Laughing Man, and then they had question marks. So I didn't necessarily get that much, but it made him stand out.
Right.
Like that's
I
the
think it was
thing.
kind of like the Riddler.
Yeah,
I
kind
think
of.
that's what his gimmick was.
And I
supposed to
think that
be.
you
And I think
want
that's what
something that's
Steph
gonna.
Rollins is.
You want something that's
Or
yeah.
Joker,
Or he
Mike.
steals it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want something that's going to stand out. If you're just wearing a, you know, it's hard. Like okay, they used to say you'll never get over Stone Cold just wearing the black. Of course he did, but look at who he is. I think like if a lot of wrestlers just go out there with a black singlet on, no, they're not. His
Right.
always kind of was like maybe an orange, a neon green,
was
and
definitely
yellow,
unique.
the question marks. I think it fit him too. So
Yeah. Well,
he was a bigger guy.
Yep.
And it highlighted. You know, he didn't look. His body wasn't all over the place. So yeah,
We promise we will get to that question. Like I said, we
Yeah,
we
it was a great
want
question.
some time because there's a lot of people, and I think we give a lot of information. Please keep sending your questions in because without you guys, we can't be here doing what we're doing today. Make sure you check out the official Wrestling Museum for all your wrestling needs. Off the ropes this week, we're talking about the Hall of Fame class that just got added in this past WrestleMania weekend. And then we have the Four Corners. So we're talking about the title belts, our favorite belts, and Figures R Us. We're talking about the trading
1991
cards.
trading cards,
Yep. And free preview is still happening right now. Part 1, we are going to be filming part 2, I think in about another week or two. And it goes back from when we started a career with your tag partner.
yeah, we'll be joined by Sergeant Stryker.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. And you know what they say, you write the questions.
We got the answers.
See you next week, guys.